Sometimes we're not ourselves. There's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. And I'll take some time, but I'll be alright. We're moving on. We're moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. We're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on. Sometimes there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Sometimes we're not ourselves. There's no one I can turn to. And I'll take some time, but I'll be alright. We're moving on. We're moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. We're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on.
Ladies and gentlemen, future architects and architects, a pleasant day to all of us. I welcome you all to our webinar, ARKITALKS, with a theme, Gearing Up for Architecture in the Real World. My name is Amadine Bertil O. Bitoon, and I will be your host for this afternoon. How are you guys? I know that we are all excited for today's event. So fasten your seatbelt as we all have a roller coaster ride of new knowledge and ideas. I hope that you will enjoy, and at the end of this program, all of us will carry a bag full of information that will be able to apply in the real world. And reminders before the start of this event, I would like you to follow these house rules. Number one, please mute your microphones and turn off your cameras upon entry of the Zoom meeting. You may open your camera and mic during the open forum. Number two, please rename yourself properly in your display screen. Make sure it matches the name you use when you registered. So basically, it's first name, then surname. Next, during the open forum, press the raise hand button and wait for the host to recognize you. Number four, you may type your questions in the Zoom chat box. These will be addressed during the open forum. The entire program will be recorded for documentation purposes only. For the registration, for those who are not yet registered, you can still register during this program. Thank you so much. Again, let me remind you for these following house rules. Number one, please mute your microphones and turn off your cameras upon entry of the Zoom meeting. You may open your camera and mic during the open forum. Number two, please rename yourself properly in your display screen. Make sure it matches the name you used when you registered. So it's first name, then surname. Number three, during the open forum, press the raise hand button and wait for the host to recognize you. And number four, you may type your questions in the Zoom chat box and these will be addressed during the open forum. And lastly, the entire program will be recorded for documentation purposes only. And for the registration, for those who are not yet registered, you can still register during this program. Thank you so much. In addition, I would like to request the Zoom attendees to use our official department virtual background for the photo op later. Again, I would like to request the Zoom attendees to use the official department virtual background for the photo opportunity later. Thank you so much. Once again, good day to all of the
On this
participating
day,
individuals of this afternoon's event. We are about to start our program, so please remain settled for the invocation to be followed by our Philippine national anthem and university hymn.
on this day, help me, God, to see that my life is a gift, that my health is a blessing, that this day is filled with awesome potential, that I have the capacity to bring something wholly new and unique and good into this world. On this day, help me, God, to remember to be kind and patient, to the people who love me, and to those who work with me too. Teach me to see all the beauty that I so often ignore, and to listen to the silent longing of my own soul. On this day, help me, God, to always remember you. Grant me the grace to move on, God, with joy and love. Amen.
All hail maroon and gold, thy colors unfold. For loyal technologians, whose hearts are strong and bold. All hail maroon and gold, on breezes he set. Thy sight we love. All hail, all hail, all hail. All hail, maroon and gold. To thee we shall cling through all the years and ages. Thy praises we will sing. All hail, maroon and gold. Thy strength near shall fail. For thee will die. All hail, all hail. For thee will die. All hail, all hail.
A program will never be complete without a welcome remark. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Architect June S. Bayaton, our Architecture Department Chair, of his welcome remarks, and a virtual applause, please. Sir, you are muted.
CIT University was founded in 1946, and this year marks the 75th anniversary after CIT first opened its doors to help rebuild the nation after the ravages of World War II. Despite the difficulties and challenges at the time, Dr. Nicolas G. Iscario Sr., in collaboration with three Cebuano technocrats, prepared the groundwork for the establishment of the institution. Today, after 75 years, Graduates of our dear university are spread all over the globe, working in the respective fields. They are the pride of CIT University and a source of inspiration to our fellow technologians, particularly you, our future architects. They have become who they are today because they have risen up to the challenges and conquered the adversities that came their way. As the world faces one of the greatest challenges today because of the pandemic, so is architecture. The design of the built environment needs to adapt to the call of the times, to the new normal. Let us take time to take a look at architecture at present and in the coming future. As we celebrate the 75th founding anniversary of CIT University, allow me to welcome you all to this afternoon session of ARKITALKS. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Architect Bayaton. And at this juncture, to introduce our guest speaker, we have the top four in the 2016 Architect Licensure Board examination. And he is already teaching for 5 years in our institution. He is none other than Architect Dexter John F. Peral. A virtual round of applause, please.
Thank you, Amadine. So our speaker is an alumna of our institution and has been practicing 10 years of diversified experience in the fields of architectural design, interior design, and construction fit out. For the past 8 years, she has been practicing in Dubai, UAE, in a general contracting, architecture, and interior consultancy fit out firm. She is a Philippine registered and licensed architect, a master plumber, and a G+1 registered architect in Dubai. She was awarded the IE Women's Scholarship for Masters in Architectural Management and Design by the IE University in Madrid, Spain last 2017, and has finished her master's degree in Business for Architecture and Design in IE University in Madrid, Spain as well last 2020. She is currently a member of the United Architects of the Philippines, the National Master Plumbers Association of the Philippines, and the Society of Engineers in UAE. Please help me welcome our speaker, Architect Angela Abelgas.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all have been doing well this afternoon. It's morning here in Dubai, exactly 10:09 a.m. I believe that the weather there is good. Today, I will take you in a virtual journey from being a student with that has a student mindset to actually have that broader sense of looking out on what you need to prepare for in the real world of architecture, basically what's here in ground zero. Ground zero is not really just in the Philippines, it can be also in other parts of the world. And in my case, it has been here in Dubai for the past 10 years. So let's start. Not sure if you are familiar with Plato's allegory of the cave, but just to kick off this talk, let me tell you a story about this. So basically, Plato had this allegory about the cavemans, which you can see on the left side here. There are cavemans that were trapped in a cave for years and years. They've never seen daylight. They've never seen the outside world. And they were, tied up so that they can't move, they can't look back, they can't go anywhere else other than where they are. So during their time, they can only see the shadows and hear the noises, and they never really knew what these shadows are, what these noises are. So at this time, they started to make up names for these shadows, make up names for all of these noises that they are hearing. And they didn't know that behind these shadows, there are really people there passing by. And they are real people, that they are not the ones existing in that cave. And actually, there's an outside world from that cave. So these shadows are lightened up by this fire here in the almost right side of the screen. And one day, one of the prisoners managed to escape. And then he actually managed to get out of the cave. At first, he was scared. He was confused. What is this other world that I'm not used to seeing? And should I go, or should I just come back to the cave? So this caveman actually had the courage to go out. And when he went out, this man on the top part, he was exposed to the real world. And at that time, he didn't know that this was the real world. He thought he was just imagining things, because this is not what the noises and shadows he saw. These are things which he can actually feel. So at this time, he actually started to educate himself through other people, because he met other people. And then he was amazed by all the learnings that he gathered. And he actually wanted to go back to the cave and tell all of these other prisoners, hey, you can actually free yourself and go out, because there's something else outside. And this place that you are here now, which is the cave, is nothing to what you can see from the outside. So basically, why I am telling you this story is that as a student, I was there before. In your case, I was also in a cave, not knowing what I need to prepare for, not knowing that the education that I have is really something very useful for the outside world. And I just really need to look back and look and search for that fire that will lead me to where I need to be. So before this talk, a few weeks ago, I asked people I know, architects that I know from all over the world, from my colleagues in CIT before, to my colleagues in IE school, to architects that I know here in Dubai and also in Cebu. So these are the very common answers that I got. The most common might be that architecture for them as a career has been very challenging. It's physically, emotionally, mentally, financially challenging. You thought that architects are rich, we are not. So one guy actually is very positive, and you will get to know this guy later on in the talk. He was very positive, and he was saying that he is in love with his career as an architect because he is rich. So these two answers are his answers. And sad to say that there are architects as well. And I think there's a huge percentage of those people that I know who says that their career as an architect is gone or it's fading. So it happens. Your life now as a student, as an architect, from first year, you can notice that a lot of students will enroll. First year, there are like hundreds of you. Second year, it cuts to half. And then all the way to fifth year, there's only like less than 50 of you. In my case, during my time in 2011, we are so lucky because we were told that we were the most number of students at that time. Like for the past years, we were more than 50. So for me, if you ask me how was my career as an architect been so far for the past 10 years, more than 10 years actually, let me take you to a glimpse of journeys that I've had. This is what I call my prehistoric era. So this was 3 years of my early architect life. I graduated, of course, in CIT in 2011. Those are my parents. And then, just for the fun of it, I took the Master Plumber's exam and passed it. And then in 2013, I took the Architects Board exam and passed it as well. This is me last year. This was just very recent. March of 2020, where I graduated for Master of Business in Architecture and Design in IE Business School in Spain. So actually, this experience was out of an impulse. This was not something that you actually planned for, like, oh, I will take a master's degree, I will save for it, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it happens to other people, but not me. That was not my case. It happened as an impulse. So at that time, my father was pushing me to take a master's degree for business, but I was not very fond of business at that time for me. Feel like it was too boring or too serious or something like that. And then I was thinking, if maybe I can find something that combines business and architecture at the same time, maybe I'd be enticed to do it. So I started Googling stuff, and I couldn't really find anything here in Dubai. And I found one school, and it's the only school that actually offers both business and architecture in one master's degree, and that was in Spain. But at that time, I have no money. I'm poor. So I was thinking, how can I actually do this? Am I ready for this emotionally? Financially, I know I'm not. But money is something that comes and goes. So it's something that you don't really need to worry for. It's something you can work on. So I had the impulse of just actually applying. I paid for the application fees and all. I went through all the rigorous stage of interview and exams, series of interviews and exams, and then I passed it. And then I went to another series of interviews and exam for the scholarship, which helped me a lot. It was a half scholarship. So I did that full-time, master's degree, and then full-time also working here in Dubai as an architect. I was here in Dubai first in 2014. I started out as a junior architect from one firm, and then moved on to the next firm, and again to another firm. And my career ladder luckily has been going up ever since. And this was me just a few months ago working for Dubai Expo, the Uzbekistan pavilion. So as an architect, of course, we need to keep ourselves sane. We don't want to go crazy doing just work and trying to improve our career and trying to be rich. That's, I think, most of us want to do. So I did a few hobbies, like traveling, doing dragon boat. We actually have a competition this weekend, and painting. And this is one of the projects that I worked with. I am showing all, we will all be going through on the next slides. So this was one of the projects I worked with, the Uzbekistan pavilion for Dubai Expo. And this was during the time when we traveled to Uzbekistan. This was on January. For 8 days. We traveled there to actually pitch for the entire ministries of Uzbekistan, like the entire government bodies. They have 1% each. And we pitch the progress and what are the future needs of the projects to actually complete it. So I had my 5 minutes of fame there to talk about the design progress. And these people on the left side are the people which I worked with. One of this guy, actually the Filipino guy on the right, is architect Robbie. He will be part of this journey later on. I will speak about him. And the other architects, the white lady with the blonde hair is Tatiana. She's the head of the Expo department for the company I worked with previously. And the guy in the middle is actually the deputy head of Uzbekistan. He's the one managing at that time the project. Okay, so all of this, let's sum it up. For my career as an architect, how do I relate to all the things that the other architects answered to? I'm highlighting here those answers which I can relate very much onto. It is challenging for sure. It is stressful and it has been excellent, and I am in love with my career as an architect, and I do hope you will be as well. And it is satisfying, and yes, it is too much work. I added something here which is worth it, because although I am still young, 10 years is nothing really compared to what we can still do as an architect in the future. Well, in your case, in the future, and for my case, in the further future. So I can say that for the past 10 years, it has been worth it. Architecture was never really my first choice. My father told me to ask me one time, what do you want to go to in college? I said, fashion design. And he said, okay, take architecture. And then I said yes, but at the end of the day, I am figuring out that he actually was right. So enough about me. Let's talk about you now as students, as future architects. What type of architect do you think you will be? Have you already asked yourself this? Do you think you're the type of architect that is living the dream? Oh, I'm so rich, that like that guy that did the survey. Like, I'm so rich, I'm so in love with architecture. I have many wives, many projects, all of this. Or are you the type of architect where you regret, why did I ever take architecture? I wasted 5 years of my time. I should have went through other lesser years of bachelor's. So I do hope that you will have some positive outcome in your future careers as an architect. But before that, let's talk about something else. Now that you're still students, let's go back to Plato's allegory of the cave, and let's go through it step by step. I believe, and I can relate, that when I was still a student, I'm still at the bottom part. I'm still inside the cave. I was still sleepwalking at that time. I know that, all of our professors, they've been feeding us with information. They've been feeding us with assignments, with tasks. And we're just there, okay, I just need to pass this exam. I just need to submit this assignment. I just need to have a 4.0 grade or 5.0 grade. These are all your focus. You're like a horse, you have this. But you're not really aware of what awaits you, because your only focus is what you have now. So you're still sleepwalking. And I was still sleepwalking at that time when I was in your stage. So what is the real life as an architect out here? What do you think? Working abroad, let's try to see what it is really working out here. And to do that, let us talk about them. Ooh, gossip. I know we all love gossip. So there's 3 major steps in realizing your architectural designs. You might think this is just too simple. Design, construction, operation. What is this? This is not the real life. But I'm trying to make this much simpler for us to go through a journey that is very much relatable. So that's why we're trying to segregate it in this very the major topics, major aspects of your architectural designs in realizing your architectural designs. So let's use Dubai Expo as a case study. I'm not sure if you are familiar with the Dubai Expo. What is an expo? World Expo is something that happens every 5 years. It's just like the Olympics, where countries will pitch, or states actually will pitch to bid to host these kinds of events. And it is actually an event. So it's a 6-month event where each country will have their own representative. Actually, this is the Dubai, this is the biggest expo ever, because they actually managed to build an entire city just for the Dubai Expo. Before, Expo is usually held in, like World Trade Centers, and then each country will just take some booths there, here and there, small booths, and then represent their country through booths or whatever, or a room or something. But then in Dubai, they made it bigger, because of course Dubai is known for something bigger and something, the tallest building, all of that. Everything is very exciting. And of course, they want Expo to be one of them. So what is the Dubai Expo? Dubai actually won the bid to host the next Expo last 2015. And they started out with the design. It's a collaborative work from multiple designers all over the world, not just here in the UAE. And they selected an empty plot. There's a lot here in the UAE for empty plots, and it's all desert plots. So what you see in the news or in Google or wherever you see Dubai is progressive, those are clustered in many areas, but then there's still a lot that is empty. And it's not that hard to find an empty plot that can host the Dubai Expo like they designed it. So they proceeded with the build. And 2020 came, they needed to put on hold the opening of the Dubai Expo, and actually the construction work was put on hold for a few months, but the entire thing was put on hold for 1 year. Dubai Expo was initially called Expo 2020, but because it's not happening in 2020, they changed everything to Dubai Expo. And when it was built, they had a soft opening on September 1, which was for VVIP, invitation only. And then it got operational. It opened on last October 1. It's actually a very big event in the UAE, and it's considered as the biggest show on earth. Like how Dubai sees itself. Okay, these are a few examples of the pavilions that each country actually designed and built. So there are over 190 pavilions, 190 countries that participate in Dubai Expo, because it's still ongoing. It will still run until March of next year. And these are some of the projects. So if you can see here the architects and companies that designed these pavilions are, most of us knows Santiago Calatrava, and all the rest of the architects are mostly European architects. So if you can envision yourself being here in Dubai, being inside Dubai Expo, or being part of the people who actually built the Dubai Expo, designed and built the Dubai Expo, you will think this project, the Dubai Expo project, is actually a very good playground for architects to design wildly. And that's what most, if not all, countries did. So just to make this journey a bit simpler, I have selected 3 pavilions to represent the design, construction, and operation stages, which I discussed earlier. And I have selected the Philippine Pavilion, the Uzbekistan Pavilion for the construction, the Syrian Pavilion for the operation. Actually, I interviewed 3 other architects here in the UAE who can represent these pavilions. Why did I do that? Because I believe that this talk is not just about talking about my experience. I'm still young. I have 10 years of experience. It's really nothing compared to what other people and what these people have been through working here in Dubai. So I believe it's just right to share their experience as well, because they are architects as well, and you need to know what you need to prepare for based on not just one view, not just my view, but other architects' view and experience as well. So let's start with the design. First stop, the Philippine Pavilion. This is actually the biggest pavilion in World Expo that the Philippines has participated in. In the previous expos, Philippines has rented just few spaces or rooms or something, but they haven't really built this large of a pavilion. And actually it was the UAE government who insisted that the Philippines need to have more than, I think that was 4,000 square meters of area to build the Philippine Pavilion, because here in the UAE, you can see Filipinos everywhere, and the Filipinos are well regarded here in the UAE, especially by the government, because they believe that we Filipinos have helped shape this country. And actually, just a disclaimer, for the pavilions that I'll be talking, we will not be talking about the technicalities. We will not be talking about how it was designed, or all the things that you can actually Google, or you can actually, or the other architects or the designers themselves have talked about in this pavilions. But instead, we will be talking about the personal and unique experiences of each architect that were involved, that I have selected for in these pavilions. So, because these are the types of experiences that you might also experience in your future careers, and you might also you would want to prepare for. So for this first journey, this is architect Arnel Mercado. So he was actually a project manager and a BIM manager for the Philippine Pavilion. But he will be talking about, he's not here, by the way. I will be talking you into what we discussed about in his journey. So he will be talking about his journey in winning the project and working with the project and actually losing the project for the Philippine Pavilion, because yes, the company he worked for lost the project. So what's your first thought on this? I'm sorry, I didn't notice that the screen is here. Okay, what's your first thought? What's your first thought on this? Expectation versus reality. You think it's very common, right? So you designed this very wildly, and then here comes the actual part. I don't want to say anything, but then let's hear what architect Arnel had to say about this. What went wrong, actually? Why was the design not realized the way that they actually designed it? And the answer is commercial war. And it's very, very common. When you are working here in the real world, it's actually your first enemy, the commercial war. You go through bidding, you go through tenderings, and sometimes you win. And then when you win the project, you are confident that you actually had it. Oh, I'm here until the very end. And you can never know that somebody is just there trying to grasp it from you. And you're clueless and everything. So let's talk about the companies that work for in this project, the Philippine Pavilion. We're still in the Philippine Pavilion. So the concept design, these are the key stakeholders for the design build stage. So there are still hundreds of stakeholders that were involved in this project, but let's talk about all these people that were very key to to the that made this pavilion actually happen. The concept design was done by Budi Buji, Royal Pineda. So he was actually, he appointed an architect here, a local architect, which is called NEB, National Engineering Bureau, and that is where Architect Arnab worked for. And they were the initial architect of record. So from the schematic designs that Architect Budi did, Architect Royal did, the architect of record, which is NEB, was the one who was translating. So something buildable. And here in the UAE, to be able to build a project, you need to have two things: a main contractor and an architect of record. It's something the government requires for you to actually get the building permit. So at this time, there's this company called RAK. He was the main contractor, and initially was associated with NEB and nothing with Royal Pineda or Buji. It was Buji and NEB was in contact at this time. And here comes Yamur, the guy who will be snatching this project from you. And NEB, Architect Arnell's team, is actually clueless at this time. So what happened? Why was the project snatched out from them? So in the end, NEB lost the project. Why? They did the work. They did all the sleepless nights for 3 months. The schematic designs was already transferred into concept design all the way to DD stage. And out of the blue, here comes Yamur. They actually pitched for the lowest price. And NEB was confident at that time, we already have this project. We have Royal Pineda to back us up, and we are actually the cheapest, which they were not. Yamur was the cheapest. And of course, Philippines needs to go to the cheapest one because this is something that is still business after all. So they did the project without contract, which was the very mistake that they have actually done. And you as an architect will experience this because you will be very keen to get that project. You'll be very keen to build that relationship with a client. Don't worry, I will do that project for you. I think some of you here as students are already started working on projects, as freelance or something. You started accepting projects, interiors, villa. I did that in my time, and no contract and all because I'm still a student. I don't have my own name. And sadly, you will experience this when you will be an architect in the future. And this is something unavoidable as well. But this is something that you need to be aware of, that you need to actually stop these kinds of practice. So this is a very famous architect meme. I think you've already seen this. This is very famous in Google. So you design something, and then at the end, it's not really something that you visualize it. Actually, what happened for the Philippine Pavilion, as what Architect Arnab told me, is that Royal Pineda had very wild ideas without considering how to actually build it and without considering the limitations of the project. That's why, aside from the fact that all of these commercial wars are happening, one factor actually that affected why the Philippine Pavilion turned out to be something that was not how it was initially designed is actually the failure of the architect itself. I'm sorry to say this. I don't know, maybe some of you here knows Royal Pineda or something. Oh, this is recorded. Okay. So this is just an example of what Architect Arnal has described to me. The left image is the schematic design. in one of their experiences. So they actually plan to hang people there. No, not people, but sculptures. What's the very first thing that you notice here? How is these statues and sculptures hanging? From the sky? Are they on an airplane or something? And compare it with the final output. So this is where the architect of record, which was architect Arnell's company, got involved with, because when they were provided with the schematic design, they were the people responsible and actually thinking of how to build this project. They need to see how it will be built in materials and compare it also with the laws that is applicable for Dubai Expo, because they have very strict rules, and also for the Dubai laws as well in construction. So in this project, initially, architect Royal Pineda was thinking of using fabric in the casing of this, what we now call a scaffolding. I'm so sorry. But in the end, they used just the normal wires, because the fabric that architect Royal initially thought of is not allowed because it is a combustible material. So this is actually one of the failures of an architect. When you design something that's feasible, design something and think ahead on what is and what cannot be done, so that at least your vision, the way that you portray it to people, will actually be a larger percentage of it will be realized, you know? Although it's unavoidable that we design something and it will turn out to be not buildable, but at least as an architect, it is your sole responsibility to think ahead. So I asked architect Arnell, when you lost the project, because as what I mentioned earlier, they lost the project because of Yamur. And I asked him, what is your key takeaway for this entire experience from winning the project to actually doing the work, and then you end up losing your project? And then he said, when you design, consider everything, because this is what he learned, that he learned from the failure of the architect who designed it. When he was not considering the team who will do it, and he was not considering the budget, because this the design that architect Royal did was way over budget. So, and they did not consider the timeline as well. So there are lots of failures that was actually waiting to happen, and it did happen. So his consider everything, think ahead. And he actually felt bad because for the Philippine Pavilion, it was a strict requirement that all the architects who will be working here will be Filipino architects. And then at the end of the project, you will be featured in the pavilion, all of that. So of course, if you will take pride that you have built something that is for your country. And at the end of the day, you actually lost the project. So let's go to the next stage, which is construction. So for construction, we have selected, I have selected the Uzbekistan Pavilion. So for Uzbekistan Pavilion, I told you earlier that I work personally with this project as well, but I will be bringing in some other architect who will actually share his experience as well. So this is architect Robbie Robert Gitcano. He is actually an alumni of CIT. I'm not sure which year he graduated, but I'm pretty sure that it's from a long, long time ago. So actually, I'm not sure if she's in the audience, but architect Robbie has a daughter who is now studying architecture in CIT. And if you're here, then hi, Trixie. So Robert, as he would like to call himself, is at that time, he was the design architect for the Uzbekistan Pavilion, and he supervised the construction work. And his main role actually was as the business partner, because At that time, R2C2, his company, R2C2, is actually the one who was appointed to do the design and construction of the interiors of the Uzbekistan pavilion. So there are two icons here. The first one is the architect's hat, which I would want to call it. And the other one is the businessman's hat. So these two hats is what I believe architect Robbie wore when he managed the design and the build and the business process that he went through for this Uzbekistan pavilion. So as any construction would happen, you have a plan of opening it before the due date, and turns out what happens in actual is that your project is delayed. So Expo actually had an initiative that it will have a soft opening by September 1, where VVIP clients who will be invited will come to visit Expo and actually visit the pavilions. But it didn't happen for Uzbekistan because at this time, by September 1, they were still doing the interiors. So what was the root cause? One of the major root causes was the political issues. It's not something that I'm comfortable of sharing in details because it's very confidential, but you get the gist already. If we say political issues, I think it's something common in every country. I will not say more. Okay. Let's go through the design and build journey of the Uzbekistan pavilion. So if you can see here, I have put in the icons, which, because we are relating this journey with what architect Robbie went through. So I am putting in icons where he actually transitioned from an architect to a businessman, or when was the time that he actually needed to wear both hats. So as I told you earlier, I was working with this project. Even when it was still in the initial stages, we had like months and months of getting the brief from the client, doing the design, and then we present and it gets rejected. And then again, we need to do the redesign. And it was a cycle that kept going for months and months. And the very main reason why this happened was that the client doesn't know what he wants. He doesn't actually know how to represent his country, which was too sad. But it is your role as an architect to, that if the client doesn't know what he wants, if the client doesn't know what he needs, it is your role to do that research for the client and educate your client. So moving on, the project was put on hold for a year. It was a mixture of both political issues and mainly because of COVID. But at this time, architect Robbie, while he was still in his chill architect mode, he actually had that spare time for the 1 year to improve more the design and be wild on it. But after 1 year, the project opened up again, and then we did another redesign, which we value engineered. And at this time, value engineering the project, when you're working for a company that will actually build the project, you will start to think, how am I going to earn more profit on this? So you value engineer it. This was the time when architect Robbie wore both hats. He was doing the design himself, and of course, it was our entire team. It's not just him, but he was the main guy. And then he was the one who was, he had the call on what needs to happen and what must not happen because of cost. So we came moving on to the construction phase. At first, we did the shell and core. And at this time, the client still doesn't know what he wants. The project design was still not approved. It was verbally approved, but then they were still like, okay, you can move ahead. And then we said, okay, sign this approval, and said, no, just build it. It happens. It's something very common, but of course, these are the, I'm sharing this to you because I would want you to be aware that although it happens, these are the types of negative practices from your side. You need to prepare to stop it actually, and not to continue with this kind of practice. So we moved on to the construction phase 2, which was the interior. And during this time, this was the time when the soft opening was already happening. And it was already well known that we had a construction delay. And because of these delays, Architect Robbie needed to switch to different hats, because these are the times when, these were the times when he needed to prioritize if he was an architect or if he was a businessman, because I'm losing cost, I'm losing profit here. I'm hiring these people, but then it turns out that all of these unwanted delays are actually giving me something that was not unaccounted for. So moving on to October 1, which was the grand opening of the Dubai Expo. At this time, Uzbekistan cannot open. They had an issue with, they had political issues where they needed to change management. Actually, the person who was spearheading this project from the Uzbekistan government was changed. And at this time, Architect Robbie was all the way wearing his businessman's hat, because the design was done. And it was at this time where he actually needed to fight for what his company needs, which is, of course, looking at the business side of it. And it turned out that the project got delayed for more than a month. And still at the end of the project, he was still wearing his businessman's hat. So if you can see through the entire journey here, at first, you are working as an architect. And then from his side, being the owner of the company, he actually needed to switch to different hats whenever it's needed, whenever it's, he needed to switch to different hats because of some circumstances that is out of his control. And this is something, if you will become a businessman at the same time as an architect in the future, you need to actually learn this. And there's no proper formula on this. This is something that you learn out of experience. Yes, you can learn the basics in business school, but still you need experience to actually know what you're doing. So what were the drawbacks that caused the delay in the construction for the Uzbekistan? First, it was clueless clients, and next, it was the architect's personal agenda. Architect Robbie was actually, I know him personally, so he's actually the type of client where he's very stubborn. He wants his design to be implemented the way he visions it, and he doesn't care about cost. He doesn't care about timeline and all of that. And actually, when I interviewed him, I was impressed when he said, for Uzbekistan Pavilion, I took a step back because I know that this is a project where this is not for me. Like he was saying, this is not for me. Actually, this project is for the people of Uzbekistan. So even if I want to push my ideas, design ideas on this, if it doesn't represent Uzbekistan, then I need to actually step back, which was a mature way for him, because as stubborn as he is, and as stubborn as all architects are, this is something that we actually need to learn. And the next one for the cause of the delay would be the unaccounted procedures. So there were, during the construction, we were hiring and firing people because we didn't know few times on what we actually need to build the project. This is in terms of the legalities of it, because Dubai Expo is very strict and they keep on changing their procedures. So of course we need to catch up very fast. So yeah. Okay, so what's the what have we learned so far for Architect Robbie's journey? What I told you earlier, actually this is something that I would want myself to prepare for as well, because having studied business and architecture, I would want very, very soon, I'm planning to put up my own business. So I would want to be able to know when to switch hats when needed. If there are issues and there are events that takes place though that was not planned at all, then what is the right approach to it, and when is the right time to actually switch hats? And this is something that I myself have learned by looking at what Architect Robbie had been through. So I asked him the same thing as what I asked Architect Arnel, what is your key takeaway for this project? And his answer was that use architecture as a tool to have a good business. So he said that architecture doesn't just stop in design, it's just a portion in running a business. It's not actually the main act. So for us, we see now architecture as, you know, the god of all our careers, but in the end and in the real world, it is actually just a portion of what you need to do to realize your project. Of course, it's something that is very crucial in the initial stages, but at the end, it's not just the only thing that you need to consider. Okay, the last portion, which would be the operation side. Am I already out of time? I'll try to make this a bit quicker. So the last portion will be Syrian Pavilion. So this is Architect Khaled. So he is actually my current boss. This portion of the talk is actually more on the humanitarian side. We've already talked about the employee mindset side for the Philippine Pavilion, and then the business side of being an architect in the Uzbekistan Pavilion. And for this Syrian Pavilion, it is more on your humanitarian, how you see how Architect Khaled has actually managed to make his country be on the global stage again. I'm not sure if you are familiar, but Syria has been in 10 years of war. So this Syrian Pavilion is actually for the past 11 years. This is the very first time that they again have been involved in a large event. And although the design of the Syrian Pavilion, because they are from they had an assisted pavilion, which is in Dubai Expo. If you're a country that you don't have really the funds to be part, but you still want to showcase your country, they can assist you. So they will give you this building, which is in the middle part, and they call it as an assisted pavilions. Bangladesh is also one of them. But for Syria, they did the interior part, and surprisingly, the Syrian Pavilion was built all in pro bono. Everything you see in the Syrian Pavilion, if you come here, or if you go through the social media pages and you see everything you see there is actually pro bono. From the design stage, which Architect Khaled was involved in, he designed it for free. Why he did it? Because he knows that his country needs this. The world now sees Syria as something poor, and it's a country that can never get out of a war, although it has been slowly getting out of that war stage. And he sees this pavilion as something that can bring in hope to his country. So he designed it in such a way where people can actually contribute. So these wooden tablets, they have this inside the pavilion. There are 1,500 wooden tablets, which are made by individuals, 1,500 individual Syrians from all over the world. They did the artwork and then they sent it all in Dubai. Everything inside the pavilion, the interior part of it, it was financed by Dubai Expo because Syria doesn't have the money to build this. But due to architect Khalid's vision and persistence, he actually managed to convince people that they need to support Syria in order to recover and put Syria back in the global stage. And for the design part, he was actually successful in setting out a message, because the message here in the interior design is bringing in hope for Syria and showcasing a united Syria. And when you go inside a pavilion, like the guy here in the last image, Architect Khalid, having worked in this pavilion from scratch all the way to the operation side, he actually is a witness on how the people accepts this message and how they are actually starting to realize that yes, Syria is actually a country that is coming out of a war and they need help. And he was successful in doing this. So what was the reason for the success of the Syrian pavilion? It is mostly, for me personally, I would say that it is the healthy personal agenda of the architect to actually help his country. For us architects, we sometimes we have our own personal agenda, and sometimes it's made out of vanity and greed. But in this case, in the Syrian pavilion, I'm very proud to say that Architect Khalid is one of the very few architects who actually managed to build something, design and build something that is out of a good intention. And I believe that when I interviewed him, I told him, this is something that actually the world needs to know. I don't have that much time to share with you in detail on how this project really came through technically, but it is something of an inspiring message that I do hope that you as an architect will try to practice one day, to be empathetic on your projects, to have that need to not just see your own personal agenda on each projects, but at least value your clients. And in this case, Architect Khalid's clients were the people of Syria. So he wore, unlike Architect Robbie, he wore all the hats that he did, because he was the one who was bringing in investors. Every hat he was able to wear in this project. And right now he's still running the project as the pavilion director. So he's running the daily basis of the project, the daily events of the project. So what is his key takeaway notes? He said that as an architect, you're not exposed to the reactions of the people. You build the mall and then you leave it. The Syrian pavilion is not a technology project, it's a story project. When you successfully transfer a message on your design, you will feel it and the people will feel it. And that is actually how he managed to do it in the Syrian pavilion. He said that the Syrian pavilion is his greatest project in his entire life. So right now, going back to Plato's allegory, you've witnessed how the other architects went through their careers here in Dubai. And you are probably starting to waking up on what you might experience in the future and what you might need to prepare for. So what is my career takeaway for you? I've worked with some of these projects and I've worked with these people that I've shown you. So, and I also have my own learnings from going through all of these projects. So what is my career takeaway for you? First and foremost, you need to ask the basic questions. I think all of us needs to do this, and let's start with the first question. Who am I expected to journey with in my future career as an architect? For that, I do believe that connections matter. At first, as a student, I never really thought about this. Like, okay, I just need to go through to pass, to graduate this architect bachelor's and all that. And we never really value the people that we meet in a daily basis. We never really value the faculty that is educating you right now. We never really value the colleagues that you work with right now, which is your classmates and all. And in the future, once you graduate, all those connections will grow, and you need to actually start in thinking ahead. What can I do? Because for me, this is actually my one of my regrets, that I never really started early. I'm working here in Dubai now, and then I don't have that much connections in the Philippines to actually start my business. So I need to start here from scratch, which is unusual. I'm a Filipino architect. So next question. What do I need to prepare for in my future career as an architect? It is important that you keep an open mind, because your future is really something very uncertain. Nobody can tell what your future is as an architect. Maybe you'll be one of those architects who would regret of actually going to architecture. I do hope that doesn't happen with you. But then it pays to keep an open mind, because you will never know what kind of challenges that you go through. So you need to be flexible enough to actually try to, you need to be flexible enough that your experiences, not really experience, but what was I? Okay, I was lost for words there. Let me go through the next one. So where do I start my career as an architect? For me, I started my career for a year in the Philippines, but then I went global. I went to Dubai immediately, and I've been practicing my career as an architect here for more than 8 years. But my father told me, use Dubai as a tool to learn and experience and gain connections, but don't use it as your final destination. Go back to the Philippines because you were taught there. So you need to actually give back to the Filipino people what you have learned. So I'm lucky enough to be able to earn education from outside of Dubai, and it is actually my goal to go back. And I do hope that for you, don't limit yourself to actually just working in the Philippines. You will learn so much more when you go global, but then don't ever use it as your final destination. I do hope that by this time you are awakened somehow with my stories, with the stories of the other architects I have introduced you with. So one last question. How do I prepare my career as a future architect? And my answer to that would be for you to gear up. Your education now is very important, and the faculty that you work with is actually experienced enough to actually help you to gear up. And now the question and answer portion. That actually puts an end to my talk.
Thank you so much, Architect Abelgas. We have learned a lot from you in just a single sitting. I am glad that Architect Abelgas shared about the allegory of the cave. I have read about this story when I was still in high school, so it sounds nostalgic, but this story never gets old. It's a beautiful realization to question every assumption you have about the reality you call real. This is a powerful way to develop the skill of thinking for yourself and discovering your unique solutions to any problem. So much for that. I am inspired with by the stories she shared about herself and the other architects. I am an architecture student now, and I love to paint. And one day, I am hopeful to travel around the world and to gain valuable experiences. Experiences that will make me grow. That's priceless. And for me, it is true that in designing, one shall consider the feasibility of a project, what can be and what cannot be done. It is okay to use our imaginations wildly, but let's face the fact that there are always limitations. Thus, one must be aware of these. Let us make amazing designs, but let us be aware or one step ahead on the possibilities our design will encounter. And we shall be empathetic with the projects we are doing. It is not solely for ourselves or for us, but it is for the people. As a woman, I feel so empowered right now. Thank you so much, Architect Abelgas. It is our pleasure to have you here today. I hope to see you soon in the next webinars, Architect Abelgas. A round of applause, please. And I know everyone is so delighted and excited. We are overwhelmed. Thus, to balance what we are feeling right now, let us have an intermission number from our alumnus. He graduated last March 2019, and he is Mr. Junine T. Bilsinia. A virtual round of applause, please.
Just the two of us.
was an amazing performance from Mr. Vilsinia. While he is serenading us by his saxophone, I am really enthralled by the music. Indeed, a sequence of beautiful rhythm. And now, this is the moment you've been waiting for, where all of your queries and thoughts shall be catered. Let us have our open forum. Our moderator for this is our faculty member, and let us give Architect Abby Paklipan a virtual round of applause.
Okay, good afternoon, guys. No, that was a very inspiring talk by Architect Angela. Guys, can you hear me? Everyone? Hello?
Yes,
Guys?
sir, you're audible.
Okay, so thank you, Architect Angela. That was a very inspiring talk. No, actually, me myself, I learned a lot of things from that talk that you had. No, while preparing for the questions, no, I also prepared questions, coming from myself. My first question, Architect Angela, if you don't mind, what is your favorite subject when you were studying architecture?
My favorite subject would be
Yeah.
history.
Okay,
History.
history.
Actually, it's still my favorite subject now because I still learn. Um, I don't stop learning about the history of architecture.
How about engineering, math subjects, ma'am? Do you like that one?
When the thing that convinced me to join architecture is actually what my older people told me that time, that architecture doesn't have math, which was completely false. It was not something I enjoyed at that time, but it was something I was, I'm proud to say that I was good at,
Oh,
but
that,
not enjoyed really.
you were actually good in math. So all we can say, ma'am, is sana all. Okay, we have a question here. So this one, now, based on your experience, how do you gauge Filipino technologian architects with their foreign counterparts?
Well, you would be very surprised that Filipino architects here, actually the UAP have a very huge community here in Dubai. And I'm proud to say that we are one of the communities that actually is ahead of the other architects, because the European mindset, say for example, they have this different kind of a mindset where they see architecture as purely design or purely business. But in architecture, as a technologian architect, we have this mindset that we are practical in what we do in designing, because we try to see things not just in those design viewpoints, you know.
Okay. Our next question here, what does it take to survive in the global scale as a Filipino architect?
You need to have a very, very strong heart. I would say that working as an architect in another country is that you have very unpredictable experiences time and time again. And these are the type of experiences which you cannot prepare yourself ahead of time. When I was in the Philippines working, you will only consider working with different colleagues, stuff like that. But here in Dubai, you need to account for so many other things because you are working far from far from your family. So you need to account for actually how you can survive, because it's not like in the Philippines where you live with your parents, you live with an extended family, but here you're actually all on your own. So you need to think of your own health. There are so many things that you need to consider. It's challenging, but it's actually worth it and it's doable.
Okay, noted, ma'am. So next question, this is actually from Sir June. Okay, so his question is, what is your thought on this famous line by Zahadid? That is, if you want an easy life, don't be an architect.
It's true. It's true, but then if you don't really, if you want to live an easy life, then what kind of a life is it really? it's not really, it's just actually a boring life.
Actually, architecture is not that easy. No,
Oh, no.
we have here from our Zoom question. No, this is from Klein Young. Would you recognize your own failed projects, or do you have any failed projects on your own?
Yes. I actually have this very recent project. While practicing here in Dubai, I also have connections from the Philippines who contacts me for design jobs for the Philippines. So I have this one client who called me to do a design for a villa in somewhere in Luzon. And I gave my quotation. I actually sent over the contract for the client to approve and sign. And then at the very last minute, the client said, actually, I found another architect. He's a student. He is actually 70% lower than you. Can you go lower than that? So I said, no. So I believe that this is probably my most recent failed project, although it's not the type of project where I actually started doing the work, like actual design work, but it is still a project after all. And it's still a failed project because we never get this out of our system as Filipinos. We actually, like, try to canvas for something much cheaper.
Yeah. No, we should not settle for less, di ba, ma'am? Okay.
Yes.
Next question. This is from Architect Peral, and which I could relate to. How did you balance your time in taking the masters and working? And then how did you stop working when taking the masters, or did you do them simultaneously?
I did it simultaneously, full time for both. So actually, for the masters that I did, it was both an online course and a face-to-face classes. So it was a 13-month program, but then I did it for 3 years just because I had to stop for more than 1 year because I had a visa problem. So the masters, we had for the opening of the first semester, we had classes in Spain. So I need to go to Spain for a month. And then I need to come back to Dubai because we are starting with our online classes. And at the same time, I was working. So the opening of the second semester, we went to London to do our classes there. So we did there also for a month. And then again, after a month, I need to come back to Dubai and continue with my work full time. And again, after like 6 months, I went back to Spain to do the same thing and present my thesis and then do my graduation. So it was not easy. Actually, I remember one time because I worked at that time when I was doing my master's, I worked with architect Robbie, and he was actually my reporting manager. So I was project managing 3 projects at that time. There was this Dubai Training Center, and then Uzbekistan Pavilion was starting. And then I was also managing one other project for a TV production set that we have here in Dubai. And working for 3 projects and at the same time doing doing your master's is not very easy at all. One time I was just so stressed, and all the sleepless nights, it's been months and months that I've had sleepless nights. And one time I went to his office. I actually entered there and then just sat there and then stared at the wall. And then he said, "What do you want?" And then I started crying. I said, "I am so tired." And he said, "Okay, do you want me to take out some of the project?" I said, "No, those are my baby. I don't really trust anyone else to handle those projects, but just let me cry first and just vent out. I just really am so tired."
Yeah, actually, that's true, ma'am. No, okay, we all deserve a break. Okay, this one is coming from me. This is another question of mine. No, uh, in your opinion, no, which do you prefer for your apprenticeship? Do you go to a small architecture office, or do you prefer to go into the big ones, the corporate ones? Or which do you prefer?
That is a very common question here, not just in your apprenticeship stage, but that is still a very common question here in Dubai when you work globally, or when you've been working as an architect. And my answer to that will always be, I prefer to work in a smaller firm where you can do everything, because that was the time when I learned so much more. I know so many architects here where they have been doing BIM for the past 8 years, and I have been questioning them, do you not want your career to grow? Because for me, I've been working here for 8 years as an architect, and I've grown from a junior architect all the way to a project manager. And it's something very fulfilling for your career. And to compare it with someone else who's been working as a BIM for 8 years, just because they work in a corporate that doesn't allow them to grow in their corporate ladder, because you have, Europeans to compete with.
Okay. So next question we have here: what made you decide to pursue your career in Dubai specifically?
If you want unofficial answer, it's to escape love. But then for something very political, I would say that for a political answer, it would be like, yeah, you want your career to grow, and actually to learn so much more, which you can't really learn from the Philippines.
Okay. Another question we have here: do you feel homesick while working abroad? How do you overcome your homesickness? Okay, this is not easy. No.
No, it's not easy at all. I've been working here for more than 8 years, and sad to say, I was only able to go home to the Philippines once. And that happened because of my master's, because here in Dubai, you work for a company and then you only get 30 days annually to take a leave. It's either you go home to the Philippines or you would spend it here locally. And sadly, for all of those 30 days annually, I needed to spend it to my master's. So you get homesick, but it's unavoidable, and it's something you just need to take courage.
Okay. We have here another question. No? The question is: who is your favorite teacher while you were studying?
You know what? When I was studying, I always remember architect June. He's always somebody who you need to impress too. And at that time when I was a student, I'm the shy type. I don't want to take an effort to impress someone, but I can see my colleagues at that time, they were really trying to impress architect June. So I believe silently I was hoping that I would be impressing him, but I don't know if I did that during that time. It's not a political answer, by the way. It's true.
Okay, another question here is this one. This one is very interesting. What is your hardest moment while you were studying? That you really experienced this mental breakdown. Did you experience that one?
Yes, a lot of times. In my master's, for the thesis, we actually needed to pair up with somebody to complete our thesis. And because it's a business school, we needed to find a project where we can actually implement it as a business afterwards. And I had a partner who was very difficult, because he kept on disappearing. He was like a ghost. So he made it difficult for me actually to finish my master's and to actually do my master's, because I was doing most of the work. And I think that's also common in bachelor's, in your bachelor's.
Okay, so in relation to the master's topic that we have, how did your master's degree help you in your career right now? And then would you advise everyone to take up a master's degree?
Yes. Yes. Um, how it helped me right now is that it opened new doors for me, because here in Dubai, when you have a master's degree, or it's not just in Dubai, but actually anywhere else, when you have a master's degree, you're able to grow more in your corporate in your career ladder. You more opportunities are opened up for you because they believe you're someone who is more experienced knowledge wise. And I do encourage people, all of you, to take a master's degree, if not immediately after bachelor's, then gain some experience and then do it somehow.
Okay, actually, me also, no, I would suggest everyone to take up master's degree if you have the time, to do these things. No, this is very actually, it would help you a lot later on. Now, to a more personal question, ma'am, we have here, I have a question, ma'am. Single or taken?
I've shown you my hobbies earlier. I've shown you my hobbies. Aside from working full time, I have a lot of hobbies which takes up most of my personal time, even after work. So the answer to that would be yes, very much single.
Okay, you are married to your profession, no?
Yes, and happy.
Single and happy. Okay. Architect Cantor sends his regards to you,
Hi.
Architect Angela. Okay. Any more question, guys? Keep it coming. Okay. Any more questions?
I have a question for Architect Abelgas.
Hi, Sir June. Yes.
Now, if you can go back in time, what could you have done better as a student in CIT?
If I were to go back in time, I think that what right now I'm lacking at is the connection that I have in the Philippines. I've been meaning to put up my own business in the Philippines, but just because I've worked here for a long time, I couldn't get that much connection that I need to actually start my business. And what I could have done differently at that time was that I could have discovered more what I want as an architect. I could have ventured out into more hobbies that would have allowed me to expand my network. And yeah, I think going back, I should have done that early on.
Okay. And I would just like to make a rejoinder to your statement earlier that you said that you failed to impress me. To be honest about it, I was all ears and all glued throughout the duration of your talk. And for a while, I hoped that your talk will end, but it did. And I would say that being impressed with how you have metamorphosed to the architect that you are now is an understatement.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so if there are additional questions, I'll give the floor back to Architect Pakifan.
Okay, we have a lot of questions coming, sir. That's one. Now, based from your experience, what is the biggest difference between the personalities of your clients abroad and here in the Philippines? And do most people abroad approach architects when they have designing projects?
The difference.
Yeah, between foreign clients and Filipino clients.
Foreign, when I say foreign, it differs in what nationality, to be honest. If, say, for example, you have a foreign client and is a local UAE client, you would expect him to be someone more demanding. Demanding, and not in a sense that it's not making sense, the demands of the local clients here, because they don't consider time. They don't consider money most of the time. So you think that you are limitless in designing, but at the end of the day, no, you're not, because they turn out to be the most thrifty ones. And compare that to the Filipino clients. Filipino clients are more practical, I would say.
Okay. Next one. How do you apply to study abroad? from someone who's also financially challenged, how or what are the things that we need to do to study abroad while being financially assisted?
Actually, um, yes, finances can be very difficult to deal with, and it's actually one of your hindrance to start to do your masters. But I don't know, maybe it's just my personality that I don't really allow it to hinder my goals in life, because there are a lot of ways that you can actually be educated, may it be just there in the Philippines or internationally. Say, for example, Harvard, they offer a lot of online free seminars. You can start, maybe you can start with that. And once you gain the connections and you gain the confidence, then you can actually start planning on how you want to do your master's with, I don't know, connections.
Okay, mom, this one is about I don't know if you are already familiar about the online classes, no? How the Philippines handle the online classes. This is about that one, no? The question is, do you think that it's okay for the students to experience online classes? And then is there really a big difference between online classes and face-to-face classes?
I would
This is
say
more about the learnings. Okay.
yes. I would say yes. Um, Why? Because when I did my master's, it was both online and face-to-face classes. And to be honest, when I was there in Spain and when I was in UK, learning firsthand from the professors and from my colleagues, it was more educational than what we do online. Because say, for example, in online class, we have everyday forum, which you actually need to comply on standards, mainly. You're not being very creative. Compare that to when you are actually face to face, you get to be more creative because you actually need to do hands-on work. So yeah.
Okay. So the next question we have here, what is the biggest project you've handled so far and how long did it take?
Probably the very recent one would be the Formula One for Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. If you're familiar with it, the Jeddah Formula One opened and ended last December 3. So it was like a 3-day event. Actually, my new company that I work now with Khaled, Architect Khaled, which I showed you earlier, they hired me for that project. So I project managed that. I was not doing the design myself, but maybe because we are different types of architect. Later on, you students will also, the students also will realize that there are different types of architect. You may be an architect who is focused on design, on business, or project management. And for me, from my side, I find much more challenging and interesting to become a project manager. So that's what I have been working on. So yeah, I've worked as a project manager for that.
Okay, guys, any more questions? Do we still have time? Technica, napatay time for more questions?
Actually, somebody chatted me, Architect Mary Luz. Can I read this? I'm not sure if this is a private chat or something.
That is for everyone. I just summarized this question earlier about the online class.
Okay.
Okay, I think we have another question here. This is, how long did you wait before deciding to go abroad, and what specific jobs were you looking for?
Um, I didn't wait that long. I only worked in the Philippines for a year. I worked for 1016 residences with MBC as a site architect, and then I got promoted to technical architect. And then after that, I immediately moved to Dubai. So the type of jobs that I was looking for was nothing very specific. Specific in a sense that, yes, it's an architectural job, but nothing very specific where I was actually looking to become a project manager or something like that. Because at that time, I felt like everything else is still uncertain and the environment is very strange for me at first. So I was just going with the flow. And it's good to actually do that initially, but then you need to learn when you need to stop. And
Okay. So this next question is this is on your own opinion. Okay. To be a successful architect, would you wear more of an artist's hat or a businessman's hat?
That's a very difficult question.
That question is coming from Sir Jun.
Oh, for my side, this is what I told. I have this friend who I open up to, and this is what I told him, that I'm having a hard time. One of the drawbacks for me in actually opening up my own business is that I'm the type of person. It's a personality thing. It's not something very technical or whatever, but it's a personality thing that I'm the type of architect or a person who doesn't love money that much. And it's quite ironic why I went to business school when I don't really love money that much. I would rather go for pro bono projects if it actually is a humanitarian thing or something. I'm actually the type of architect which is like more of what architect Khalid was or is, rather than someone who is in love with money. So actually that's that's my drawback.
Okay, this one. Do you have any regrets so far in your professional life?
Regrets. Regret. I don't think so. Right now, I feel like regret that I don't get to see my family as much as I want to, and sometimes homesickness really can be a burden. And it's a regret for my career because sometimes it's something that will actually pull you back in doing something. Like say for example, like I have a project and then I can't focus on it because I miss my family and stuff, and they don't know that. I don't really open that up to them, but it is a drawback, and it is something that is a hindrance to my career, and a regret maybe.
Okay, this one, ma'am. How do you handle failed projects or even problems during the construction stage, etc., or any problems that you will encounter along the project? So how do you handle those things?
One example would probably be the Uzbekistan pavilion, because I project manage the design and interior construction. And during the construction stage, we were lacking the manpower, the proper career people to actually help us build the project. So it became a failure for a few months because nobody was taking the initiative to actually, uh, you know, hire the convince the main guy to hire someone, and the COVID is over, and put out some money, hire someone. So how I handled it, it was not mainly me. It was mostly the management, which was at that time Architect Robbie. So how you handle failure in your project is probably learn when you say, when you know that you can't do it all for yourselves and you need help.
Okay. Another question. This one is coming from me. When you took up architecture, do you really want to become an architect, or that was just a suggestion or an order from your parents? No. Okay.
Yes, it was an order from my father, because at that time, after graduation of high school, I remembered after I graduated from high school, we were just out like enjoying the graduation celebration, and then my father asked me, what do you want to take up in college? And then I said, I don't know, maybe fashion design or interior design. And then he said, oh, it's all related to arts, so why not take? And then he said, actually, okay, take whatever you want as long as you take architecture. So basically he's saying me I don't have any choice.
But did you regret taking architecture, or you
No,
fell
no,
in love with architecture?
I fell in love with architecture.
Okay, any more question, guys? No? Ano po may questions?
I have a last question for Architect Abelgas.
Yes.
How important is good communication for an architect?
I would say that it's vital because communication starts when you're getting the brief. And I think the very good example for this would be, again, the Uzbekistan pavilion, because at that time, there were gaps in the communication, not just because you don't really say the same language, but in a sense where when the client doesn't know what he wants, you are responsible in actually digging out those ideas from him without him having to communicate verbally. So that is your role as an architect. So I would say that it is vital. And it starts during that brief stage all the way to handover. So it's something you will need in the entire process.
Okay, very well said. Thank you.
Okay, I have another question, ma'am. This one, if ever you decide to return to the Philippines, do you think you'll be opening a firm of your own, decide to retire, or apply for another job, or get married?
Well, marriage is not really something that I prioritize at the moment. So, for sure, I don't plan to become an employee forever. So yes, I plan on putting up my own business. And the thing is, when you start falling in love with architecture, you don't really see yourself retiring. I don't know. I think that's what I see from most of the successful architects. Even architect June, he's been there since I started learning architecture, and he's still there giving back to you guys what he has learned over the years, and I believe that is very inspiring. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, we all love architecture. No, we all love the plates. We all love the stress.
Yes. Sleepless nights.
Okay, this one, this is a very good question. No? Good afternoon, Architect Abelgas. I want to ask how you maintain your passion for architecture despite failed and rejected proposals.
How I maintain my passion for architecture is that I don't really try to stick to the same kind of projects. Like my friends and my family has told me one time that, why do you keep on skipping jobs? Because here in Dubai, I've already worked with 4 or 5 companies, and they've asked me, why do you keep on skipping jobs? And it's mainly because when you work on a certain company, each company have their own strengths, and sometimes it's like they have their strengths in villas, and it gets boring sometimes. So I'm the type of person that actually goes forward and looks for challenges. So I do that in a way where I don't really stay on the same place.
Okay, that's very brave of you, Architect Angela. No, I cannot do that. Okay, any more question, guys? Okay, do you have any more
Good
questions?
afternoon, Miss Architect
Hi,
Angela.
architect.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Okay, I have a question. How do you still regard manual drawing over the use of electronic gadgets as some sort of a way of communicating with your clients?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Actually, I think it happens everywhere. Right now, the hand drawing, hand sketches of communicating with your client, it doesn't go old. Sometimes we feel like, no, I don't really need to do that because I have all of these resources with me available, but it doesn't really go old. And it's very helpful on the schematic stage and at the same time at the construction stage. Because say, for example, in construction, you are not always equipped with the technology that you need in a construction site. So you need to at least improvise by actually going back to the basics, which is hand sketching. So I would say it's not something that every architect, even the new upcoming ones, should it's not something that they should just trash it aside or something. But at the end of the day, you need to catch up with technology, especially here in abroad. It's more common to hire someone who has more knowledge in BIM or Revit, but I don't really value those kinds of skills. That's why I didn't.
I should also know because one of your colleagues you have mentioned, architect Roby Getano. Of course, he is also our alumni here in CIT. And I also know his skills when it comes to manual rendering. Because being a student, I am very much familiar with his works when he make renderings. But of course, during the time, I should say we are not yet into the use of electronic resources as what you have mentioned. No, so that is why I guess my question is very much relevant when it comes to engaging, especially with should I say the clients? No, that would be. I guess you agree on that.
Yes, I agree. And you're correct. Architect Robbie is really skillful when it comes to hand sketching. Actually, his company, it has an Instagram account, and the Instagram account is full of sketches. And it's inspiring, and it's something that I would want to improve maybe for myself, because it's not something I do.
All right. Thank you, Miss Architect Angela. Nice meeting you again for some time. We've been here in our alma mater for quite some time also.
Yeah. I hope to see you all again soon. Very, very soon. I will visit for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so that ends our open forum. So we wish we could spend more time with Architect Angela, but sad to say, no, we have a time limit. So for now, no, we really are thankful for Architect Angela for all the knowledge, the inspiration that she gave to us, guys. Diba? It's very inspiring. So I hope everyone did take their part, no, take down notes and be inspired. Okay, so that's all. Okay, so I now give you back to our MC. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Architect Paklipan. We have learned a lot from you and Architect Abelgas. I love listening to your conversation. It's very casual and natural. We are enlightened with all of the information we gathered. For the presentation of the Certificate of Appreciation, let us once again welcome Architect June S. Bayaton.
Okay, we would like to present this certificate of appreciation to our speaker, Architect Angela Abelgas. The certificate reads, Cebu Institute of Technology University, College of Engineering and Architecture, Architecture Department. Certificate of Appreciation is given to Architect Angela Abelgas for sharing her time, knowledge,
Thank you. Finally, malinis na siya.
for sharing her time, knowledge, and expertise as guest speaker in the webinar Gearing Up for Architecture in the Real World, held on December 7, 2021. Given the 7th day of December 2021, Cebu Institute of Technology University, Cebu City, Philippines. Signed, Dr. Evangeline C. Evangelista, Dean, College of Engineering and Architecture, and yours truly as the department chair.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Architect Bayaton. Now, we have arrived in the conclusion of this webinar. For the closing remarks, let us welcome Architect Carmel Angeli M. Bitonio. A virtual round of applause, please.
So good afternoon, everyone. In behalf of the CITU Architecture Department, I would like to thank Architect Angela Abelgas again for sharing her experience and her wisdom to inspire our future architects listening here this afternoon. So I'm sure they're already contemplating on Architect Angela's question, what type of an architect are you? So for me, my key takeaways are from Architect Angela's talk that I would like our future architects here to always keep in mind while they are still studying. So first is when we design, consider everything. Second is architecture doesn't stop in the design phase. And then third is that to keep an open mind. So these are the three things that our future architects should always keep in mind as they are studying architecture. So thank you again for the UAPSA for organizing this event. Thank you again, Architect Angela, and for everyone, for the faculty involved. And I hope everyone is inspired and enlightened after this talk. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Architect Bitonio. Now let us proceed to our photo opportunity to be handled by our committee. And just turn on your cameras and give me your gleaming and beautiful smiles. So it's time to turn on our cameras, everyone. So yes, let's turn on our cameras for the photo opportunity. And DBC.com, please capture the uh, camera. Then next, okay. I guess that's it. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you so much for staying and for being with us until the end of this webinar. Stay posted because right after the webinar, we will have our raffles. Congratulations to all of us. We are already considered winners because we have gained a lot of things from today's event. Have a great day once again. I am Amadine Bertil Obiton, and good luck, future architects. Thank you so much, everyone. So, right now, let us proceed to our raffles. So we will be having our raffles here in the Zoom, and we will also be seeing the relay. And whoever, the name who appears to be chosen by this, shall open their cameras to see if she or he is really present. Okay? Thank you so much. And also, we have winners. We will choose winners from our Facebook page. So for those who are looking or in the FB Live right now, please comment if you are seeing the screen in your phones and your name is chosen by the relay. So in my end, I cannot yet still see the relay. How about you guys? Can you see the relay? Can I have any confirmation? Because in my end, I cannot see the relay. Okay, so technical team. Okay. I guess there's still a technical difficulties. Um, as of the moment, I cannot still see clearly.
Okay, so I would suggest the students just stay put because the technical committee is still fixing some glitch. Well, while waiting for the glitch to be fixed, I would like to thank everyone, especially the students who really stayed until now. And much as you want to admit or welcome everyone into Zoom, we are constrained with the limitation because this account only can accommodate 100 attendees. So we are having this broadcast live in our FB page as well as the page of UAPSA. So while waiting, can I get the response from our students? How did you find our webinar, the presentation this afternoon? Let me see. Any volunteer? Or I shall volunteer. Oh, okay, the first one to volunteer to be acknowledged by our technical team will receive the first of 10 raffle prizes. Technical team, is there anybody who volunteered? I don't see any volunteer.
Is it okay, sir, if I would like to share my takeaways? But yeah.
Okay. Okay, we have
Okay.
now.
We have.
So, okay. So we will suspend that for a while and let's get back into the one of the most awaited part, which is the raffle. Okay.
Let's
In
go.
charge.
So please spin the wheel. Okay, wow. For our first winner, we have Lombrio Lloyd Rowell S. Congratulations. So Naaba, is he in our Zoom right now or in the FB Live? Can you please turn on your camera if you're here? Okay. I guess how technical are you seeing Mr. Lloyd in the FB Live or is he right here in our Zoom? I think we shall proceed to our next winner. So congratulations. We have Mulia Mabel R. Congratulations, Miss Mabel. And we will have 10 winners for this. Okay, so we only have 8 slots remaining. So for the third one, please spin the wheel. For our third winner, congratulations, Rituran Alexander John V. Congratulations, Mr. Alexander. So the winners for this raffle will receive a Gcash. Congratulations, guys. And next, for the next winner, congratulations, Montebon Margaret P. Congratulations, Miss Margaret. And let us proceed to our next winner. Next, we have Bernales, Angel, and Cell P. So congratulations, Miss Angel and Cell P. So they're very lucky not to be chosen by our relay because I can see a lot of names in here, and then they are chosen by our relay. So next. And then we have Leva Kairalu T. Congratulations, Miss Kyra. I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. So, next, please. And we have Villahermosa Dioscoro A. Congratulations, Villahermosa Dioscoro A. So, I guess we are only lacking two winners if I am correct. So
Yes,
correct
yes,
me if I'm
lacking
wrong.
two. Yeah,
Okay,
lacking
two.
two.
Lacking two. So let's continue. And who will be these last two winners? Congratulations sa Doden Isa G. Sa Doden Isa G. Congratulations, Miss Isa. And for the last lucky winner for tonight, this afternoon's raffle. Wow! We have a winner, Valencia Danielle Joseph or Danielle Joseph B. Congratulations for all the winners, and you will receive your GCash right after this program.
Excuse me.
So
Announcement for all the winners. Kindly send me a message in MS Team chat and give me your ID number and your GCash number for me to send out your prize. Okay? So I promise to send the GCash not later than tomorrow. Okay, congratulations and thank you for attending the webinar. And I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude, no, daghang salamat to the faculty. Special mention to those who have parts in the program, Architect Peral, Architect Abi, Architect Bitonio, as well as the rest of the faculty who have enjoined our students to attend. Also, I would like to thank the members of the technical committee and the UAPSA as a whole. the event this afternoon is very successful, and we look forward to holding more events to keep you inspired and keep you charged as you tread into your journey to complete your dream to become an architect. Okay, thank you, and let's have an enjoyable day ahead of us.
So thank you so much, Architect Bayaton. In addition, so the winners for this raffles will be posted in our official FB page in UAPSA. So don't forget, just check your names in there. Katong wala din he, and they think they are winners with our raffles. So that's it. Again, have a great day, everyone. And once again, I'm Amadine Bertil Bitoon. Good luck, future architects. Bye, guys.